If you are positive and you are the light, you be the person in the room. You be the sincere light of this, the vibe. You're the vibe queen. People want to be around you. They don't care. Like, I have a big nose. No one cares.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. We're kind of doing a Zoom thing today. My co-host couldn't make it in, but she's on the call. Hello, Amy.
I'm here. Hello.
Work has been calling. You're so busy today.
I know. I love it. It's just they've given me more responsibilities, so I'm really excited about that. And now that classes are over, it's just, I've got to get that hustle on.
So you did your finals this week?
Last week, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. So my lowest grade, it was an 88. So
nice.
I'm super pumped about that. Wow. Yeah. Worked really hard for that.
And let me just give you a little background, Amy. She hasn't been in school in, 10 years, 12 years?
12, 13, yeah.
Yeah, so when she started, she was actually my assistant, and I'm looking at some of her homework, and I'm like, how are you going to do this? I don't even remember this stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy.
But we have a guest today, and she filled in at last minute. I really appreciate it, because I had somebody from overseas scheduled, but a conflict happened at the last minute. So I've actually been trying to get this person on for a while, and we almost had her on last episode, but she finally made it this episode. So I am going to read an email. We did touch on this a few weeks ago, but I'll give you guys a little refresher. I got this email. It says, "Hello, love your podcast. I am a new sugar baby and have tons of questions. The first sugar daddy I had happened immediately, and he was extraordinarily wealthy, so I never needed to ask for anything. He was worth over $100 million. He gave me $600 to go to Starbucks with him for an hour. I did not realize I went straight to the big leagues. Now that it's over, I'm kind of at a loss. I'm jaded by his generosity. How do I get past this, and how do I negotiate for myself better? Some blogs say wait until the date, but that's frustrating when the guy is nowhere near what I want. I want to hear more from a sugar daddy's perspective on the negotiating and what factors they consider. I also have questions about intimacy and when that should happen. When I'm getting paid $2,000 for a date, I feel like I need to make sure they know I'm not going to sleep with them on the first date, but the price doesn't change. I've gone on several other dates with less wealthy men, only $10 million, and they are definitely not as generous. Not even close. I had an awesome chemistry with a man who said I was the first person he had met that showed up looking better than my photos instead of worse. Then he offered me only a $1,500 a month allowance, like WTF. I would also love more tips on how to spot a Splendor Salt daddy and when it's a good time to reveal more photos. And am I expected to give personal information, and what happens if they find out my real name and situation, because I am married with kids and my husband has no idea. Welcome, Sidney. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Thank you for jumping in at last minute. I really appreciate your spontaneity.
Yeah. I love it. It's really funny listening to you read that email back, because I feel like I've had a complete transformation since I wrote you that note.
It was a couple months ago. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a couple months ago. And I have really had a lot of experience. I guess I've learned a lot in the last few months. So
the learning curve is pretty quick.
Yes, and I feel like I really cracked the code.
Oh, you did?
Oh.
I do. Yeah. I feel like I listened to your podcast.
How did you find us?
I became curious about the sugar dating situation. And so I just started Googling sugaring podcasts, and most of them are not very good at all. But yours, having the two of you together and hearing from both sides and the guests that you've had on has really helped me navigate and kind of know the right questions to even ask. Mm-hmm. So It's been very helpful, for sure.
Well, we're glad you
All
found
that.
us.
So sweet. Thank you. That's so
Yeah.
nice. That's why we created the show. We really want to help people. So that's really
Yeah.
awesome.
And thank you for putting your lives out there too, because you both are very open and honest, and it's
it's
very
it's kind of got
refreshing.
us in a little bit of trouble, but we're dealing with
Oh
it.
my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure, but hey, you know
Yeah.
what? You got to do you, right?
All
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah. Okay, so let's like I guess let's just kind of go down the list. So what has changed for you? Like what happened that created this wonderful like transformation?
Um, right. Okay. So where do I begin? What I should say is that I work in branding, for a living. So I think that once I started to kind of make a shift from wondering where every relationship or conversation was going, and just hemming and hawing over all of the fine details, and thinking of it more as like, what about what I want? Who am I as a brand of sugar baby? I'm much different than a lot of the women out there are very, very young. I'm on the older side, I think.
How
So
old
what
are you? We're just going to
value?
reveal this right now.
I'm 35.
You look
35.
amazing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so
Thank you.
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's the
Thank you so
best age
much.
though.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think it's
think
the
that is
best
too
age group.
old to be a
Yeah.
sugar baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think another thing that does help, I think, is that I am married and I do have a family. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm actually like, of course, I want people to like, I'm a human. I want people to like me. I don't want to get dumped. I don't want to get ghosted. Those natural feelings do creep in. And I think that's what makes women question themselves and question what they want. And I was actually listening to the conversation that you two had. It was I think it was when you read my email the first time, maybe a few weeks ago. I was listening to that conversation, and it's interesting because all of those little questions that we have can be cleared up if you just set your values, decide that this is who I am. They don't have to be like, things can be fluid. You don't have to have rules like I leave by 10 p.m. or I
Yeah.
only accept this amount of money, or I never have sex on the first date, or whatever it is. That stuff can be more of just like I pay attention to my feelings and what I want. And these are the things that I will not negotiate on, not for any amount of money, no person, never, ever. This is me.
Mhm.
And that relieves, like, once I just decided who I was able to just be like, to just not, you know, just didn't care anymore. Like, it was more about like making sure that I got what I wanted and not really worrying if the other person liked it or didn't like it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that's so strong. It's very powerful. Yeah, that's a great point. If everyone could get to that. And that's what it takes is you have to value yourself and like figure out what that is for you. Cause it's different for each one. Right. So I think here lately, especially in our area, a lot of times girls, they don't value themselves. And so they will do anything. Like I can't tell you how many guys that I've talked to and these girls, I cannot believe the crap that these girls will do and they don't get anything
Yeah.
extra for it. And it's like they
Right.
just can't, they don't have any, you have to know yourself and don't settle. So
Well,
Yes.
I do have
Absolutely.
before we get on too further, I think we need to kind of find out how you got to this point. So you're married,
Mhm.
and what prompted you to kind of seek something outside of your marriage?
Well, I love my husband. We have a good relationship. It's not like there's anything wrong happening that made me be like, oh, I need to find somebody else. It wasn't about that ever. I just kind of, as now I'm in my mid 30s, I decided that I needed to kind of also live for myself a little bit. And I guess that's kind of more like it was like a mixture of YOLO and also like, well, I've given it my all in that department.
Right.
yeah.
So why did you pick this route to go versus maybe setting a profile up on a swiping app or?
Or
Ashley
Madison
or something like that, right?
I think we need to start like pushing like all the people that don't want the sugar baby relationship over to the Ashley Madison site.
Yeah.
Totally.
That is that's horrific. Anyways, continue.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, I think so. When I like go out with my friends, I get hit on all the time. Like it's, there's constantly, I'm just like reading through all these people that I'm like, I don't want this type of relationship. I don't want to be somebody's girlfriend, like true girlfriend. Like I'm there just at their, I need space. I'm busy. I have my own life. I'm not looking for someone to text me like, at 1 a.m. when they get home from the bar for a hookup. Like that's not what I'm here for.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when I was like, well, if I'm going to do this, which is, I think initially, like if I'm going to cheat on my husband, I'm going to do it with somebody that I really want to cheat on them with.
Yeah.
Somebody with class. Somebody
that's going to make it worth it for me, and somewhere, someone that I really want to be with. And I think that success and a smart guy that I can have a great rapport with, like that's so hot to me.
Oh,
and yes. I've met a ton of men like that, and met a lot that aren't like that, but I've met a ton that are. It's just like they have interests that like maybe my husband and I don't share an interest in. Like I love like art history, or I love, traveling to, Europe, or I love these things that he has no interest in doing.
Yeah. You're trying to fill some holes and live a more complete life. I get it.
And that's completely understandable. I mean, that definitely. And I think a lot of women are incredibly attracted to. There's something about like a guy that's like successful, that's super intelligent, and it gets my blood going. That's the only thing that would get my blood going anymore. If you're below a certain caliber, I just can't. I mean, you could be really smart and I'll be attracted to you, but I probably won't do anything with you beyond that.
Well, it's kind of shocking how many really wealthy men that I'm like, how'd you get there?
Yeah, right. What happened? Yeah.
Where did I fall off? What happened to me?
Oh my gosh, it's so true too.
Not to talk bad about, but no, for the most part.
Oh gosh. Oh, that's so funny.
So how long ago did you set up the profile?
So I set it up in January, and so this was interesting.
So about 5 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah. So 4 months ago, I set it up in January, and I was curious. I was like, I just want to see what's happening. Like, I might not be into it. Maybe I'll be into it. And I kind of started to tweak my profile. And then there was this one moment where I decided like my brand, who I was, and what my photos were going to look like. And I just kind of leaned into it, and I spent some time on it. And I instantly, like, I logged on the next day, and I had like, there were too many messages to even begin to read. It was like scroll. Like, I mean, there had been like 100 people that had reached out to me, like, and I was like, everybody in this town is. So I felt very grateful and fortunate for that. So then I just started to talk to every single person and test. I was like, I want to get really good at this so that when I meet the person that I do want to be with, I know exactly what works and what doesn't work well.
Do you disclose in your profile your status?
No. But I do. Here's how I kind of do things. Like if they directly ask me a question, I will answer it honestly to the best of my ability, or I'll be honest with a little vagueness. Like I might not, it's not a diary entry. I'm not telling you my entire background and life story, but I'm giving you an answer. And if you're still curious and have another question, then I will continue to follow up. If they drop it, I drop it.
Right.
Yeah. That'd be interesting, especially with I've always wondered, like, how do you navigate the whole husband and having kids things?
Yeah. I'm assuming her profile is just a teaser shot, your profile picture.
Yeah. I don't show my entire, I show, like, I've really just focused on this part because it's my lips that are the.
Okay, so our guest can't see what this part is. So she's just
basically under the nose down.
Under the
her
nose
lips,
down.
which I've seen a lot of profile photos like that, and they do intrigue me.
Oh yeah, a woman's lips are. They're so,
and you guys talk a lot about profiles, which I've tried a lot. I tried a lot of different things before I found my it works. It works.
Niche.
Which is I try to be very open, philosophical. I don't give any hard details of I am looking for. No, I'm looking for somebody who, I don't want to say too much. I'm trying to think of how I can.
No worries.
Because I don't want to give myself away. But
right.
So I'll just say something that's really philosophical. Maybe I'll be inspired by a song or a poem or a book or just something that I learned in college. And I will go and reread it, maybe something from British literature and I'll play on those words and make it just I'm outside of the box. I'm, a free spirit, comfortable on my own, independent person. I'm not going to be clingy. You just make those messages clear and that you're looking for someone that is a human.
You've kind of tweaked it now to where you're attracting the kind of men that you want, because Amy's really struggling with that right now.
Well, okay. So on that, Marcus, sorry, Sidney, I'm going to cut you off here because I just spoke with my friend from another state, and it is not me. It is 100% the guys around here. So I'm telling you, it's the demographics.
Yeah.
It's the demographics that's causing it. Cause he was saying, he's like, first of all, he still really likes me and wants to see me. It's just you gotta get here. So, but he was like, I relaunched my profile and I set it to my central location. And he's like, the type of girls that are messaging me are significantly higher caliber. He's like, the girls out here, all they want to do is hook up. That's all they're about in Arizona.
And where's here? Was he? Oh. Okay.
I'm not telling you where it is because I don't want to that's his confidentiality.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
But yeah, it just so I have spoken to somebody about that because I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I think the problem is I just don't want to just sleep with somebody for nothing. It's
right. You want someone who's going to take a genuine interest in your life.
Right. And I'm not sure with your situation, Sidney, with you being married, are you looking for something that's long-term or?
Again, I try not to be too dogmatic about those things because I want to make sure that I'm just basically doing what feels right. So for example, and I try not to think about where it's headed because I think that the person that cares the most is the one that gets fucked.
Did you hear our podcast?
I never worry. I want to be the person that does not care the most. So I don't put all my eggs in one basket. Yeah. I'm not I don't focus too oh, this guy's so hot. He's so rich. He said he was going to do this. To me, it's all talk until I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I focus on what I want. So for example, I would tell people right off the bat, this is how much support that I need. I do a coffee date meeting. I do want you to be willing to pay me to come and meet you for that coffee date. If you're not willing to pay me, I'm not going. To me, it's about showing your sincerity. You genuinely want to meet me. You're not going on if you can't afford to give me $200 or $300 for me to get dressed up and come and meet you and put myself out there, then you're probably not the person that I want to be with. Because you probably are just well, this person isn't that valuable. They're just one of the girls this week that I have that I could possibly ask out, and there'll be someone else that will go out with me for free. So
sure.
Yeah.
Well, we've talked about in the past. I've given girls that just for a coffee or a meeting for a drink or something. But sometimes I get a little bit hesitant about doing it because I don't know if I'm going to be there for 5 minutes and think, wow, I just got catfished and now I owe this person some money. is there some assurity, or do you guys talk before you get there, or do they see you before they get there, or is they just kind of taking a chance?
If we're to the point where I'm meeting them for coffee, then we've definitely exchanged photos and we've definitely been messaging pretty consistently
Okay.
for a couple days at least,
Because if
if not more.
occurred, let's say you and I were talking and we'd exchanged photos and had some good conversation, I wouldn't have any problem with that. But I do
Yeah,
I
so
do get
exactly,
people
like
ask
that
for that
means
a lot.
they're,
Yeah.
yeah, they'll probably be more of a match for you, right? Like if you're able to like, then you're excited, you want to meet that person, you want them to know you're serious.
I've
So
showed up
that,
and we've had drinks or coffee and I really like that person, and then I end up giving them, similar amounts because I want them to know that I'm sincere and I do want to see them again. Unfortunately for me, I've kind of agreed to an amount ahead of time, and then I just get there and so I give that to them afterwards, and then I never hear back from them. I'm just like, damn it. It's a little tough, but I understand why.
That's kind of the game though, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm playing you, you're playing, who's playing who,
Right.
like you're just trying to figure out. And I think that's where you have to pay attention to your instincts, because
Yeah.
you will know if somebody really genuinely is interested in you.
So you meet them for coffee or whatever, get to know them, and then where does it go from there if you're interested? At what point do you? It's going to take a while before you start disclosing things, I would imagine.
It just depends on how the conversation goes. There are some people that I have not ever really had to give any of my, personal circumstances to. There are some people that really want to know and ask a lot of questions, but for the most part, and I do want to tell all the ladies out there to read up, listen to podcasts and read up on how to think like a man and how to, everything, how to sext, how to make a man chase you. So that's kind of my philosophy. Like, I don't go after them. I let them come to me and I match their pace and I try to keep the conversation about them, because that's just like fundamental ABCs of like how you really make somebody feel feelings for you.
Yeah, I agree. There are so many resources out there, and if you're not learning on how to be a better partner or how to be more attractive, or it's funny you say how to get men to chase you. I actually read articles on how to get the women chase men. Because
that's where I say who's playing who.
Right, because if the women are chasing you, they are not dumping you, right?
I would, yeah, I'd say.
Yeah. And I think it's true. Like, so a long time ago, I remember like maybe when I was in my early 20s, I think my dad said to me, I was like bummed out about a breakup. And my dad said to me, like, if a man wants to be with you, he will be with you. He will not be too busy to call you back, to text you back, to set a date. He will be there. And I think if you just remember that, it answers every question. Like, if I ask for $300, he'll give it to me. He'll give it to me. If he wants to be with me, he'll be there on time. He'll respond to my messages. He's going to follow up with me. Like, that's just how it is. And if he's not into me, then what's the point? Like,
so here's my next big question. And this kind of happens naturally over time as you start seeing somebody more often and you start really getting a good vibe and you're enjoying each other's company. What happens when those feelings get involved?
I continue so that I'm actually in that situation right now. I'll be honest.
Oh,
a little bit. I've teetered. I've been on this kind of dangerous zone. I think that's where I know that it's time for me to recenter and refocus on myself and make sure that I'm staying busy in my own life. And I think that the more that it's healthy to do that, don't become obsessive over is he, what's he saying, or it's changed over the course of time. Like right now I've been talking to the same person for over 3 months. And he looks like a model. He's insane. I mean, he's insanely hot. He's the most gorgeous man I've ever seen in person. He's beautiful.
Oh, wow.
And he's just very smart. So we actually we have similar, very similar interests and work background. We just have a lot in common, and he's really fun. He's
Mhm.
really, really fun. He works very hard. So when we're together, we just have the best time.
Oh.
Have you revealed to him your status?
A little bit, but that's where it's about like, I focus on once it starts to get somewhere where I'm not comfortable going, if I'm not comfortable in that moment with sharing something with anyone, I just try to make sure that I'm responding to their questions and leading them away from what I
From
want to
this,
talk about.
yeah, right.
You know, like
Yeah.
just
A little
kind of
deflection.
gradually, like you give a little bit of a vague answer and then you ask them something personal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Most people just want to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. So what are you going to do? Like, what's happening with this situation? You just kind of, you do that exactly what you just said. You like lead him away from the conversation, or are
Yeah,
you,
so I do.
is he the one that kind of, let his feelings show first, or I'm not trying to put you on the
No.
spot or anything.
He's
I'm just
the one that I wrote about.
well, the one that
And
you're
that-
just
no.
talking about.
So the one I'm just talking about, no, I did not. He was not part of that letter that I had written. That other guy, I realized something about there. A lot of the men that are divorced are looking for a replacement wife, and
True
I don't
that.
want to be that. So when they want you to really just like be my girlfriend, do everything with me, be my girlfriend, maybe be a stepmom, and I'm not going to pay, like, I'm going to be here. Just, I'm providing you this experience of life, which I'm like, I mean, anyone can do that. Look around because where we live.
Right.
So I try to stay away from those ones.
So, but you just
Yeah.
you're trying to remember to stay centered. And that's
Yeah. Cause I think it just doesn't matter. I think that we can't become obsessed with someone. We just have to become obsessed with ourselves. And then you can just kind of like let go. So it makes it a little easier. Like,
yeah.
he either wants to be with me or he doesn't. There's not really anything you can do to like make somebody like you. You just have to be yourself. And
so how do you dodge the situation where there's a great concert in town Friday night, they want you to go out, you can't because you have obligations? How do you dance around all that?
Well, I think she said she kind of told them, she kind of lets them know that what her situation is,
Not really.
If it's somebody that doesn't know, well, a lot of times I can go out on Friday night.
Oh,
how do you get away with this?
She's a free lady.
if there's honestly, like, I think it's fine to tell somebody that I'm busy. Like, I'm busy. I have other things to do.
Yeah. So do you see them during the day mainly, or when's your preferred time if a gentleman wants to see you?
I can make things work. I'm a mover and a shaker. So if I really want to see that person, I will make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's a mom, Marcus. She knows how to delegate very well.
So I just,
and a businesswoman.
I just want to ask another really tough question. What would happen if your husband found out?
Oh, it's a hard one.
That is, so I approach that question kind of as I have for this entire experience, which is that will be another experience that I will have to work through.
Oh.
And, I have some thoughts about it, but, to be honest, like, I think that it would be okay, and maybe it would and I even think some of this has improved our relationship.
I was just going to ask that. Like, would you say that with you being allowed to explore yourself because sexually and everything who you are, like, how has that strengthened your relationship? And do you ever think that there could be a time where you could go to him and be very open about that?
Definite no to the last part.
Definite no. He would just have to find out on his own.
No, my husband's like, in my brain, I call him my OG sugar daddy.
Oh.
I I feel like the experience has definitely strengthened our relationship because I have another, I feel like it's no different than like a man who is cheating on his wife. A lot of them are like, I love my wife. I'm never leaving her. She is my partner. That is my like ride or die.
Yeah.
And I feel that way about my husband. I have like, I'm not going anywhere and he's not going anywhere. And
that's awesome.
There's a lot of love. There's a lot of love and there's just not everything. And I think that I'll cross that bridge when I get to it, but I think it's made me appreciate the things that are really good about us that I don't have in those relationships, you know?
Well, one of the reasons I ask is because there are a lot of great people on the site, and that's what we talk about continuously and through this podcast, but there are a lot of people with mental issues, men and women, and you get the wrong man knowing your information, and it could be very devastating.
I feel like that is definitely something that I would worry about too. But
totally,
you know, like that is a possibility because there have been, you know, in my, like with my, my past arrangements, they have told me times where women, like they think that these women like love them and they literally have tried to sabotage their marriage. So that is, that's really scary, but I'm really glad that for you, Sidney, that this has really like helped strengthen that. I just hope that something like that never happens just because that would be awful. It would be so.
Yeah, that would be terrible. But I mean, I am taking that risk. I have to be honest with myself. Like it's not rainbows and butterflies. It's scary. Like, it's really scary.
And it sounds like you really found your niche and how to like really filter people. I mean, you're doing a great job. That's really wonderful that you're doing so well for, you know, just starting in January, and you've taken all the right steps, I believe, in the right direction. So that's wonderful.
I think that's the key though, is just figure out what you're good at and then play to your strengths. And don't sacrifice. Don't sacrifice. You will find a confident person that values himself. Like the guy I'm actually with right now, we start off the conversation with, these are my boundaries. I put them up. I said, I'm not an escort, so I don't expect to be treated like one ever under any circumstance. And like 2 days, and I hadn't even met him yet. And a couple of days later, he texts me at 1 a.m. and asks to pay me some ungodly amount of money to travel to where he was, which was like over an hour outside of the city. And so when I woke up and saw that, I was like, I don't really care who you are or what you have. I said to him politely, I said, with all respect, I am not an escort, and please do not ever send me a message like that again.
Yeah.
And he was like,
taken back.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That won't happen again. And it didn't.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yay. That's that
happens a lot.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many guys on here that get the wrong idea. That's what needs to be defined, is like, I really wish that we could, you know, like women like you and I could really redefine the site again, because that's what a sugar baby is. It's not an escort. Like you're not an escort. Like you're not a sugar baby.
You're not an escort. Like to me, it's not a traditional relationship, but like that's why it's like kind of so good.
Yeah.
But like if you both, and I think that you just can't you have to think with your head. At the end of the day, you have to pay attention to how you feel. And if you're feeling desperate, if you feel, you know how that feels when you get that feeling, you're like, oh God, I really like need this to happen. I need this to work out right now.
Yeah.
You don't actually need it to work out, and it's falling apart so that something better comes in. And that's what's happened to me every single time I start to get that needy feeling, like, no, this is running its course. This is the natural way.
Yeah. I love that. Oh my gosh.
That part like helps with my own confidence and my own insecurities. Like I know that I'm not for everybody and everyone's not for me. So that's important to just don't worry about that stuff. Like, it's not going to last forever, by the way. Like Nothing does.
Yeah.
So
That's a
you've
big one for
you've
our
spiced up your
listeners.
life. You're kind of filling some holes.
Mhm.
What are you doing with the finances that the guys help you with?
Putting it away.
Yeah, for a rainy day.
Yeah. And I love, oh, you know what I love what you said, Marcus,
Do
on a
tell.
recent podcast? You said something about like, oh, being like when you get those text messages like, oh, I'm in a bind. I really need like this or
Mhm.
that, and keeping it positive. You are so right. You want them to not even like, they don't even remember that they met you on this site, you know? Like
Yeah.
they don't even, that's like a thing of the past. You're not a helpless Bambi. Like if you need money, tell them you need it for something fun. So like if I need money, I'm like, hey, I want to go out and go shopping and get a whole new wardrobe for you next time you're here. Like, can't wait to see you. And then I just take pictures of my own clothes.
Mhm.
And then I'm
Yeah.
like, look what I got for you. But you keep it fun because I'm going to buy new lingerie, but the only,
Yeah, the
$500
problem I run
bra.
into a lot is once I do help somebody with a few $100 here or there to bail them out, it's nonstop. And then it's like, where do I finally draw the line? Because
So
Yeah.
that's where the girls have to be careful though, because by the way, if I'm going to ask somebody for something, I'm going to make it a good ask. I'm not going to ask for $100.
There
Yeah.
you
What's that
go.
going to do?
Right.
What's that going to do? I just like spent, I choose the number carefully, make it big enough that like, if you never talk to them again, who cares? Make it so that it's worth you doing whatever, it's kind of hard to ask for money. I hate it. I'm like, this is embarrassing a
Yeah.
little bit, So that's why in your brain, just make it for something fun. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go girls trip this weekend. Could really use $1,800. Thanks, babe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That will be like, it
I think she's coaching me now.
I have a life. I'm doing things outside, or like the shopping thing is a good one, even though maybe I really need to pay like a credit card bill or something.
Yeah.
I don't say
Yeah.
that. Nobody wants to hear that. They don't want
Right.
to know about your shit. They just want to know that you're the happy, you're the escape.
Yeah, true. And that's the biggest reminder is that it is an escape. I feel like
So-
a lot of them forget that.
Tell me a couple times that you have shown up and you're like, what the fuck? And how
Those are
could have
so
I
great.
avoided this?
Okay. You know what? Or I had some of these. I've been very lucky, and I'm very picky of who I meet. You can kind of, if you feel like there's a red flag, I've been walking out the door to meet somebody and they'll send one last text and I'm like,
Nope.
Really?
this guy's gonna, yeah. So I did have actually a very high profile person here, who like very high profile. I won't say what he does. I figure out who he was though, and he was super honest with everything he told me, like real number. I definitely think you need to background check everybody, and you Google, you search, everything they say needs to check out. They should have nothing to hide from you.
That's good advice. I try to do that every time. It's not possible every time, but you do need to make an effort to see if you can't figure out who you are meeting.
Yes, fact check.
Mhm.
And then once you feel like everything they say has checked out, then that's when you go. So anyway, I knew this guy was probably going to be an a-hole, but I was just so curious because he was saying some really freaky stuff to me. And I was like, I feel like there's like, maybe I don't care. That's where you get fluid, right? Like I actually, if I'm being honest with myself, I don't really care that I know this person just wants me to whatever. I just want to see what he's like. At this point, I'm just like a social experiment for me. So I knew who he was. I told somebody where I was going. I made sure that I was safe in the day, a meetup. And oh my God, the first thing he did was grab my jeans. I always make sure to dress like, I don't overdress either the first time. I dress like, this is just a casual, I'm not dressing up for you. I just look this hot every day.
Yeah.
So he grabbed my jeans and tried to pull them away so that he would see my underwear. And I was like, well, that's a red flag because I've made it pretty clear that that is not what this is. But then I was like, at the same time, I'm interested.
The
Where'd you
truth.
get that confidence from? You're like, you got a big boy down So
Wow.
I was like, all right, well, I'll stick around. Like, it's not going to hurt me. And within that, hour long meeting, I knew that it was bad. And then, but I still, had to see it through. And then and actually, he's the guy that I canceled when I was about to go out with him.
Oh.
And I was like, you know what? Like on a real date, I was like, I don't, and
Oh.
he was nasty. He turned out to be just as nasty as I thought he'd be. And he's very, I mean,
Yeah.
Oh
he was,
gosh.
he was nasty. So you
Oh,
got to have
man.
you have to have a thick skin and know
Yeah.
that it's not like to me, most of those people, like it's not me, it is them. Like like what you pointed out, Marcus, like the mental health problems, like if you know it's not you, then it's not you.
Right.
Like it's the person. They're never going to like anyone,
Yeah,
you know?
definitely. Yes.
All right. So for our listeners, you are very attractive, and you seem to be a lot classier. I guess in the upper echelon of classiness on the site. How do you How does a
Absolutely.
guy get through to you? You get hundreds of messages. What attracts you to respond? Now, you did say you respond to most of them, I believe, but obviously there's going to be some that really get
Oh,
your
to for real
attention.
respond?
Yeah. How does a guy get a date with you?
Hmm.
That's a great
I think
question.
that I mean, it depends. There are a lot of factors that go into it. First of all, their profile needs to be like sincere. I look for sincerity, somebody who is genuinely, even if they're only here for one thing, they're genuinely only here for one thing,
Mhm.
and you get a sense of that honesty as you start to communicate with them. So then I kind of decide like who I usually narrow it down. I only would want to talk to like maybe 2 or 3 people at a time that kind of make it to outside of the seeking arrangements to another platform and never give away anything personal. Like I change all of my personal details. I always tweak. And I just check them out. Like I do the background check. I fact check everything they say. The more I kind of narrow it down, I just start to like get rid of people if they're not listening to me and what I'm saying that I want, and they're ignoring that and just going after what they want, then it's not going to work. If they're like saying no to anything I ask them, that's easy. It should be easy for you. Then you're probably not,
Mhm.
it's not going to work. Like if it's within reason, then it shouldn't be a big deal. And I think that when you're when you're communicating with somebody who is a businessman, like you need to think like a businesswoman. You need to think they're doing what's best for them and you need to fight for you. So you do have to be confident and strong, and they want to see that. It's a turnoff. If you're just like, oh, whatever you say, nobody wants that. They're not going to stick around for long.
So
So true.
you did some research, you did some self-improvement on basically dating, on how to read men, and
Yeah.
did you do
And then I
that?
just go with the most, yeah.
Did you do that when you jumped on the site, trying to become a better person, or had you done that before?
I think I've definitely had my own, like, I'm always trying to improve myself. So I am a very like self-improvement focused kind of person, and I love a challenge and I like to be the best.
Yeah.
So I kind of went in it as like, this is a game of like how rich of a guy I can get and what I have to, like, it just, if you think of it, like it's for fun. If you just don't because I know that I'm not trying to say that there aren't feelings involved, because there are. Like if you're talking with someone and sleeping with them and you have a relationship, there are feelings. I'm not saying that I'm this like robot, but I think that, yeah, like you just have to really work on yourself. I think if you're focused on yourself, you will attract. It's the positive of like, it's quantum physics.
Mm-hmm.
If you are positive and you are the light, you be the person in the room, you be the sincere light of
Right.
the vibe. You're the vibe queen. People want to be around you. They don't care. Like, I have a big nose. No one cares. Like, they're just like, you're the most beautiful thing ever, because you put that energy out there.
Yeah.
And I do have to work hard to stay focused on that. It does take work.
Yeah, I agree. I'm having a lot of success right now, and probably the most success I've had getting the quality of women that I want, the look that I want, just the overall attraction has gone up. And it's because I did the work also. I didn't really do that much work when I was married, but when I got divorced, I had to kind of figure out, like you, a formula that was going to get me where I wanted to go. I couldn't be lazy. And I went on YouTube. I watched lots of videos. I wanted to become a better lover. And there's a course that we promote and that we're affiliated with now, which is OMG Yes. And it basically teaches you how to please a woman in a very classy, professional manner. Lots of nice videos and interactive things that you can do on your phone that show you what you need to be doing and how not to act also. And so, I mean, even this week, I kind of dealt with a challenge where I got ghosted, and it was somebody I'd been seeing for over a month, and she was supposed to go on a trip with me and absolutely just stopped talking to me altogether, just ghosted me. I messaged her like 3 times, no response. And I'm like a little bit hurt, and I had to go on YouTube again or go research that. Like, hey, when somebody ghosts you, how do you act? And there's plenty of answers out there for you. Basically, the answer is move on, right? There's nothing you can do. Just go improve yourself and find somebody else. I mean, if they want to talk to you, they will.
Do you feel like there were anything leading up to being ghosted?
No,
like if you really look at
it was very strange.
Well, the conversation, Marcus.
It got squirrely. Well, I've talked to Amy about this because it just happened very quickly, and she's messaging me, "Hey, happy anniversary for 1 month, and I really miss you, heart, heart, heart." And then we go out. I think it was like Friday night, and it was something was a little off, right? And then something I couldn't figure out was something was off. Yeah,
she found like a boyfriend that took her attention, and I think she was just kind of, I don't know, she just wasn't.
Yeah. So I helped her out financially, and she'd always had either a reply or hearted, like through Venmo, she would, heart it or like it. The last one she didn't, and I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? This is out of character. And then, I messaged her, hey, is everything okay? I was just really tired. Okay, thanks. So now I'm really like, something's off. And so, and then that was pretty much the last thing she's ever said to me. I texted her a couple more times, hey, are you coming on the trip? And nothing. So that ended, and I'm like, damn, you start thinking all these things about, is it me? What did I do? But like you said, it's not you, it's them. Something came up in their life, and they're immature. They don't know how to communicate, and it's their issue. It's not yours. And you just got to move on.
It wasn't a good fit.
It wasn't a good fit, and you just got to move on.
Right. Like, it's not like I wasn't a good fit for them. No, they were not a good fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So,
they're not somebody who shows up for me. I need someone who shows up for me.
Yeah.
So it's better to know now.
Yes. And I always am grateful too. I'm like, the second I see one of those red flags, and I think what you said, like you went out with her and something was off.
Yeah.
Just all of a sudden, one day something was off, and
that's where you don't Venmo them ever again after that. They're done.
Yeah,
they're done with you.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah,
they start to wonder if they're not bringing their A game. You are their sugar daddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
they need to bring their A game every time they see you. Mm-hmm. And if they're not putting forth the effort, then
I agree.
But the beautiful thing about the site is, if it hurts or you're kind of wondering how should I react, and that the resources are out there. Don't just fly off the handle. I talked to Amy and she's like, no, don't send that text. I'm like, should I send this text? Like, no, just stop. Don't. And then I went online, and
a great rule though.
Yeah, and I went on YouTube, and they were all saying the same thing. Just move on.
Marcus, she's got some really good advice here.
No, I just think
give it to him, Sidney.
I heard this a long time ago in college. There was like a movie or something that I watched with like my friends, and there was a quote somebody said, and it was, if you have to ask, you can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
Apply that to everything. If you have to ask, the answer is probably not what you want to hear.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
Like, and don't ask questions that you don't want the answer to. It also kind of protects yourself, you know?
Yeah,
Well,
definitely.
the beautiful thing about dating is there's another bus in 15 minutes, and there's plenty of people out there in line ready and willing to go out with you and treat you like you want to be treated.
But I don't, you know, I like what you're saying, but what I don't like about online dating in general, which is kind of what made me just be like, I'm just going to do whatever I want, is that people are so disposable.
I don't like that either. I don't like that mentality.
That can also be a problem. Yeah. The next
And there are
shiny
a lot of
object, right?
Women that like just hate men, like man haters.
Oh gosh. There's a lot of woman haters as well.
There are a lot of woman haters, and there are a lot of men that are trying to fill. They don't genuinely want to just be there to have fun. Like they're trying to fill something that's way too serious, like that you could never fill.
That
you know?
Yeah, like mental. Like we're getting into the mental realm.
But for real, and you just like you have to really be picky, really be picky, and I mean real picky, like
yeah,
and
definitely.
then you won't get hurt. That you won't get hurt.
Yeah,
if you are picky, you will not get hurt. If you find a high quality man, and if you guys have your thing, and he's done, then he will let you know politely.
And same for the men too. Like I think that men need to be more picky. Like I think, especially here, you know, like in our location, I'm talking based on experience with our location. Cause in other areas of the country that I've done this, they were more picky. And you, like you said, you had to be on your A game all the time, and you'd better have known something. You better be striving for something. You better be somebody. And you yourself, as a sugar baby, you better like know how to handle yourself. And it just like
That's
that is it's so important. Yeah. And you know, don't settle, because you're going to keep running into shit, basically.
You know, I was thinking about something you said, Amy, earlier, about like the men and where you are. Why don't you just change your location?
Change my location. So
change your location.
You're talking about to like a different city?
Yeah, a city that you can maybe get to in an hour, cheap plane ticket. Also, tell them always. Listen, I'm not kidding. You can make it work. You can tell them the complete truth. And if they will see you.
Yeah. So that's a really great idea.
I mean, she's done that before.
Yeah, I've done that before. So the biggest problem that I have right now is my lack of availability. It is like when I say I mean, I'm going to school full time, and I work, and I do this podcast, and I literally, there are some days where I maybe have 30 minutes of free time for myself, because I'm bouncing between so many different things. And that's the hard part for me right now. And I don't have weekends off. I have to study on weekends. Like that's when I have time to really get my stuff done. So otherwise, like if I was more free, I would definitely, I really would. I would probably, honestly, I would not be in Arizona. Like as soon as I graduate, I'm bouncing. I'm not staying here.
I'm not letting you leave.
Yeah. Okay. I promise. Like I'm like, Arizona's not home for me. I may have like a condo here or something eventually, but yeah, it's just, I really don't have the time, and I'm not trying to make an excuse. It is very difficult. Like,
I believe you. It's
very, very difficult.
And it does take, you need to have like a minimum amount of hours you're willing to put in.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Per month, or it's just like, it becomes so stressful that like nothing will work out, which I also think is kind of a law of attraction thing. Like, I think that's like the universe is telling you that right now, you need to pull back and be like, and focus on yourself, and not even, because you're just going to be disappointed.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what I've actually come to that realization. I've done like a lot of clearing and like just a lot of meditation and everything on that. And that's what the universe is telling. Ladies, like if you have to pull back, it's okay. It just, it's one of those things where I would like for it to be more, but I just can't. So
all right.
Anyways, yeah.
Amy.
Sorry.
Sidney. We have come to the end.
I
It goes
know.
so quick, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Wait, Marcus, can I make one suggestion?
Yes, you can.
Because I can tell you this right now, and it's worked for, and I've become friends with many of the men that I've talked to,
Let's hear
and
it.
it works for them. And I tell every guy this. Like, if you are really serious about someone, you do need to offer them a first date. Sincerity. They will show up and they will look good.
Mm-hmm.
If you're really serious and you felt it out and you don't have red flags and it feels right, they will show up. Also, same thing for your podcast guests.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like,
You've
yeah,
had some people bail lately, and I just wanted to.
Yeah, you know, I wish
like maybe if you offered a little compensation in some way for their time.
Yeah.
You know.
No, that is true. I do have a list of people that just wanted to share their story, which is nice, and we don't make a dime off this. So maybe we should set up a GoFundMe page for our podcast and and have it go to the guests.
But why aren't you making a dime off of this? You guys should be making, like,
you know, it's been a lot of
on.
fun, and I did it just for, you know, to help people. But yeah, as we're getting listeners, that we're really growing, and we're starting to explore some affiliates, and hopefully soon that.
Yeah, it's there for you guys. You are the only legit one. I've
Right.
tried a bunch of them. You guys are really good. You guys are very fun to listen to, and you guys like have a nice little rapport and great voices. Amy, you like seem, I'm just like, woof, I'm not attracted to women, but I don't know.
Hello,
like,
Sidney.
This hollow mystery, like, like, I don't know. And
She
you
is
seem
mysterious.
Like, I just love listening to you guys. And I think that there is a real opportunity for this to be brought forward into society more and kind of normalized and explained more, because people have a lot of questions. And there aren't a lot of great answers.
Well, you're a brand manager. Maybe we need to discuss a few things off air.
Hey,
yeah, love it.
We would love some
Build your
advice and
brand.
maybe even partner up. Yeah.
There you go.
Well, guys,
okay.
Sidney messaged me on our website. She told us her story, and here she is, and we really appreciate having her on today. She has a lot of great insight for somebody that's a fairly new sugar baby, but you've learned very quickly and you've done the work. I think you're on the right path.
I'm also old.
Right.
No, you're so young.
Visit us at our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com, and you can tell us your story there. And then follow us on Instagram at secretsofasugardaddy. Message me there also, like everything that we post. Oh, and then finally, if you're on Apple Podcast, please leave us a 5-star review and tell us what you like about the show, because we love to hear it and see it. And if you think it's only 1 star, then don't do anything. But
Right.
yeah, just don't listen. But anyway, no, we appreciate everybody listening and any feedback that you might have. So until next episode, bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.